Boss Rush 940 Day 5. So we have Elris Gloomstalker as our first boss today, and then we have a cleanup on the last boss with 2 enemies from Lewis Phillips, which we haven't had in Boss Rush for quite a while, since like the very first week. So today's not going to be a good farm day. It's also pretty easy overall, but it does take quite a while because of those super buffed adds at the end if you do hit artillery strikes, and if you try to fight it without artillery strikes, there's a bunch of other complications too. So I've got 2 comps here. One is a Deathwing comp, and then we're using Medivh Khadgar to clean up those last 2 enemies, along with Rattlegore. And then you could also use someone other than Rattlegore and sacrifice them on the last fight, but Rattlegore should work fine here. And then for the other comp without Deathwing, we've got an Elise Khadgar comp, and we're using Arfus to slow them down on the first boss. And then we have Medivh and Khadgar to clean up on the last boss again here. And Elise as well, so we're going to keep Elise alive in this comp. So the Deathwing comp is going to be Rattlegore with Rattling Bones, Deathwing with Resolve Undying, Eudora with Primed Armaments this time, Medivh with Unstable Runes, Khadgar with Bitter Chill, and Gin with Gillian Strength. And then in the Elise comp, we have Arfus with Downward Dog, Elise with Monkey's Paw, Khadgar with Bitter Chill, Medivh with Unstable Runes, Gin with Gillian Strength, and Eudora with Briny Bracers. And Eudora, I'm not planning to use for anything, so you could use any artillery strike in that slot if you wanted to. In the Deathwing comp, we are going to use Eudora for something specific, and Gin would be the interchangeable one. And I guess in the Elise comp, you could swap out Gin as well. So both the artillery strikes could just be kind of whatever in that one, I believe. So let me do the Deathwing one here. So we got Rattlegore, Deathwing, and Eudora to open with. And our hope is that Eudora is able to survive and bounce out of the way, but I believe there are some permutations of the enemy ability usage here that result in Eudora dying. So our damage here shouldn't really matter, and I believe this Tactical Strike is the one that will mess you up. So you would hope for Sinister Strikes and the left and right attack Illidan ability instead of that. Okay, so Tactical Strike, not good. We're just going to reroll and get a different ability roll there. So I guess you probably just need to concede if you get Tactical Strike. But you could just, hit play and see what happens. See if kills your Deathwing or not. I guess killing Eudora also would be a loss, so you need it to attack into Rattlegore or the cannon. And I'm not sure if the AI ever does that, so... Looking for a Sinister Strike here on turn 1. And that's another Tactical Strike. You can build strategies that don't care about the Tactical Strike, and the Elise comp shouldn't have this same issue. But we're just trying to knock one run of this out, so this is probably the best way to do it, and also gives you the higher artillery strike odds some of the time. Alright, there's our Sinister Strike. So I'll just make a new cannon here. Okay, we got 2 Outcast attacks. So I think that ends up killing Eudora, unfortunately. You would want, like a second Fan of Knives here or something. Or just not Outcast attacks, they're like Sinister Strike or something. But we're just going to attempt to bounce Eudora and then do our Destroy All Life. We're going to lose Eudora here, though. To this second one. I'm going to restart the client here. Skip these animations, and hopefully we hit the artillery strike even though we lost our Eudora. So all we need at this point is our artillery strike, and then we should be all set for the last boss. Any damage-based treasures would be really good to speed it up. Alright, we get the artillery strike, so we should be good then. These aren't great damage. I guess Bird Buddy's fine. So I don't think there's really a way to use Bird Buddy to do anything especially good. I'm going to take Atiesh for the damage ramp. And Bowl of Bones is like decent, but I guess it might be useful. The problem is it clogs your board if you wanted to do anything else with your board. And using them for damage is just kind of like a waste of animation time. I'm just going to take the book. I don't think it's useful for anything, but... I guess this is more damage than Bird Buddy, since we're not planning to really use the Bird Buddies. And I'll swap this over to the Curse Blade, even though I don't think it really does anything substantial here. They're going to have so much hit points that it won't really be relevant damage. Alright, so I'm in a position with Khadgar on the right here. And I guess I'll put that over there. So our plan is to sacrifice Radogor and Medivh to a cleave to get our Khadgar transformed. So just a Blizzard should work here. And we're not going to be able to do anything with Medivh really, so... We just got 2 regular melee attacks. I need to get transformed though. Actually, I think I need to delay that and just taunt here. I haven't actually run this yet, so... Okay, this is another Blizzard. Guess I can summon a bird. Okay, this is going to be another taunt. guess I'll work on the ad first. Do this bird last so it gets ramp. Okay, so I'm just going to root these. Summon another bird. At least we're getting in the ATS ramp on our Rattlegore as well. Okay, so here's the cleave. It's gonna kill Medivh. So I really need to get Khadgar transformed, but not sure the best way to do that. Because if I just taunt here and try to transform him, then this kills Rattlegore, and then this cleave gets through on whatever it wants. I might have to let this just hit a random enemy and hope that it hits anything but Khadgar and the ward. Actually, that's not gonna hit the taunt anyway. I think this ignores taunt. I'm not certain about that.
Job's done.
And of course it kills my counter ward. So now any 2-speed attack, it's gonna kill me. Let's see if this is still possible. Trying to find an opportunity to get Khadgar transformed is harder than I was expecting here. Okay, so this will just get eaten by this taunt. Then we can make a new one. Oh, they have a whirlwind too. That would be fortunate to get earlier on when you're trying to transform. Okay, so just a couple of slow melee attacks, so easy blizzard. So it looks like I don't think there's anything that messes you up at this point. I was thinking you needed the counter rune for the 2-speed, but again, taunts cover that fine. And then you just clean it up with a blizzard afterwards. So it looks like this should be a win here. I thought this fight went a little bit differently than this for the getting Khadgar transformed, but I guess there might be a way to do your transformation as a more guaranteed thing. My plan was to taunt Rattlegore and have Rattlegore and Medivh get cleaved on one of the turns, but then you have a second attack that comes through that I didn't really account for properly. So I'm not certain what the best solution here is. But this one obviously worked out for me, so good enough, I guess. A little bit of a sloppy solution here, but this is not a good farm day at all, so I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to like perfect a strategy for it. Because obviously nobody's farming this. It takes so long to kill these guys with this much hit points. Looks like it's just the same actions every time, so summoning taunts whenever you can, and then just shoot with everybody and root every turn. And of course, this Atiesh is doing a lot of work here. Giving us scaling on all of these. That's a new one. Our birds aren't getting too much scaling since we don't have that many arcane casts here. It's basically just the Archmage Nova and then the birds scaling each other with only 2 of them. Alright, got the ad down. I guess killing the ad doesn't really do anything for you. So it might be better to focus Lewis with all your damage. That way you just get more value out of your roots. AoEing. If you don't have Atiesh though, your damage is going to come pretty much entirely from the bird since you wouldn't have any scaling on all these other units. So this might take a very long time if you don't have like strong birds and you don't hit the Atiesh. You could even hit the turn limit if you don't have a high enough level bird. Getting a lot of attack on Rattlegore and Gin here. I could swing with Rattlegore to cash that in, but he'll lose that attack when he respawns, so it's only one swing for like 1,000, and I guess with the Atiesh ramp, there's not really any reason to do that. So we got just over 100,000 left. Unless there's an extra digit hidden under there. The UI is definitely not designed to accommodate these types of numbers. I guess on the 2-speed attack turns, you don't have to root with Khadgar, so you could just shoot an Arcane Surge instead and get some extra bird ramp on those turns. So like here, actually we need a new summon. This root doesn't actually do anything, so I can get an extra Arcane Scaling here. We would be able to Archmage Nova this turn anyway, but next turn I'll be able to do the Archmage Nova, so it's 2 scaling attacks back to back instead of 1 Blizzard and 1. We actually let these act this way. I probably shouldn't have done that. Actually, it doesn't matter because they're so small. I don't know if they do anything faster than this. So yeah, it's probably fine. I wouldn't really worry about it. You don't have to worry about them like eating a counter rune cast or something like that, so. Even if they did something faster, I don't remember if they can spawn extra adds too. I don't think they can. But if they were able to, it wouldn't even matter since they would just get cleaned up that turn. Alright, finally starting to get ramped enough here to actually do some damage. A few thousand a shot now. Take my bird ramp. So this Rending Cleave doesn't actually deal the melee damage to adjacent, so on this turn as well, on Rending Cleave turns, you could probably do like a scaling thing, but we need to kill these adds here, so I'm just gonna Archmage Nova. I guess they would just die swinging in here, and they don't really do any damage, but I think trying to squeeze in too many extra Arcane Surges isn't really super productive anyway. It's just one extra scaling on the birds, which at this point isn't that very consequential. New summon. Gin could also transform, but you need to make sure that you're in human form on the turns that you need to resummon here. And then I probably would not mess around with trying to get those Arcane Surge casts off if you did transform Gin, since these guys swinging into a unbuffed Gin taunt would kill it then, and then maybe he gets through and kills somebody. So that seems like an unnecessary risk. I might as well just Blizzard here. I've got enough ramp on Atiesh that the extra Arcane Surge is actually probably less damage than the Blizzard at this point, since he's getting close to dying here. I forgot to summon a taunt last turn. Doesn't really matter though. Okay, just a couple more turns here. Should get him like next turn, I think. And that should do it. Alright, so that's a process. I don't think I'm going to finish that with the Elise Khadgar comp, but I'll go ahead and run it with Elise Khadgar and maybe get to there and set up the pattern. And once we get to the point that we're just repeating the actions, I'll just concede, since it's not very productive to sit there and shoot those guys repeatedly for the same renown. I could do like 5 runs on an easier farm day, like day 2 or something, or day 4. So let's get into it here with the Elise comp. So here we're just going to kill off Arphis and then do infinite roots. So there is a Sinister Strike. I guess my Elise needs to be bigger, because I don't really have anything to deal with Sinister Strike. Otherwise I'm going to have to re-roll until I get Tactical Strike on turn 1. So it's the opposite of the other comp. Unless your Arphis is smaller than your Elise. I guess I have too many shared treasures on Arphis, and I haven't put anything into Elise in a very long time. So if your Arphis is smaller, you should be fine here. I'm not going to bother putting points into Elise to raise her health. I'll just re-roll until I get a Tactical Strike on turn 1. But that would be an easy option. It wouldn't take too much renown, since my Elise has very few upgrades. I could just level up her heal a little bit and put a few points into something that gives her some hit points. Just whatever the cheapest treasure is or something. It is very beneficial to keep your Arphis as low health as possible. Even not maxing Arphis is a perfectly viable option. We were experimenting a little bit with Frigid Bark being leveled up as like a damage option, so I went ahead and maxed mine so that I could play around with that. But ultimately it didn't end up being super useful. It doesn't contribute that much damage relative to like Band of Frost or anything, and there aren't too many scenarios where you need to double cast with a Frost spell where it really gives you a lot of benefit. It was pretty good for the things that I was testing it on, but just with the restrictions of party slots and wanting to bring as many artillery strikes as possible and everything, you just never really ended up needing to use it for anything. Just give me the Tactical Strike. Should be like a 50-50, I think, to hit Tactical versus Sinister. And of course, I get unlucky and hit the one I don't want, regardless of which comp I pick. So. There are some options with taunts with like Nimsy and some other mercenaries that you could use for this fight. But I think for maximizing our artillery strike odds and having the right mercenaries to beat the difficult cleanup on this day, this is probably the best you can do for the comp. Okay, we got the tactical stride. So I'm just gonna swing and then do root and hearthfire. And now they should be slowed and we have infinite roots, so the fight's basically over. They can speed up. So I'm gonna bring out Medivh here. So I'm gonna shoot here, root, and summon a bird. I think it might be an issue if they double fan and then use fast enough attacks. So I'm actually gonna focus down one of these lower health guys. And we want to keep everyone else alive here. So I'm not going to kill off my Elise. Don't really need that heal here. Guess this can go over here. So you want to shoot with your Khadgar before your Medivh so that the Arcane Rift crit is not wasted on your Archmage Nova, since that Arcane Surge portion will eat that. And you want your bird to crit instead. This root doesn't really do anything. Actually, I could root here and then scale the bird. Get that extra arcane attack in. At this point, I don't think a single fan is enough to cause a problem with speeds. So you probably don't have to focus down the ad here. Well, actually, I guess it is with the Sinister Strike. So you just let that be countered in this case. So we'll just act at 5 speed and slower, which we're kind of doing anyway. Yeah, it probably is good to focus down both the ads. We get a second monkey here. In order to do that, I could shoot here. think that's worthwhile. I shouldn't need this for anything since he's slowed and there's no more Fan of Knives to speed him up. And a monkey's probably better than a second bird. He is almost dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so just looking for an artillery strike. That's a miss. Alright, we got it. Nice. So the plan is to just use Elise, Khadgar, and Medivh and cover Hearthfire turn with Elise. But I'm not certain how that works out. I think it works fine. Because there should be no 2-speed on turn 1 while you're doing your Hearthfire. So I'll take Alaneth for damage. I don't think any of this matters. Ooh, Atiesh. Let's actually have both the scaling options. So Atiesh and Alaneth are definitely the best thing you can get here. With this comp, I don't think positioning matters. But I guess I'll position like this. Just trying to protect Khadgar. Like, if you did need to sacrifice to a cleave for some reason, I would probably want to get rid of these two and keep Khadgar around. Okay, so we're going to root and counter ourselves and get our transformation. And I don't think this would matter at all. Make sure you don't counter yourself there. Okay, so now this will just be countered. And then we have a root there. And we can summon a bird. So a lot cleaner than the other comp. You don't have to try to find a weird Hearthfire turn. I may have also... There might have been a line of play that I didn't recognize there. I guess I'll get a monkey out, but I actually want to replace it with a bird. The monkey doesn't scale. The bird does. So I think a bird is better than a monkey, but if we can keep the monkey for a turn and get rid of it. I also don't need Elise anymore at this point. So I can actually use this. First the golden monkey. Oh wait, she'll die at the end of the turn. So I think I just want to swing with her and then replace with a bird. And that'll prevent a new mercenary from coming out. Because otherwise she'll die at the end of the turn and then you won't get a new bird in her place, since she won't be dead when the bird comes out. Okay, so that's going to be countered. Oh, and we need to shoot with this first, then Medivh, and then we want that bigger bird to go. So I wasn't going to play this out, but I got all the scaling, so I guess I might as well. It's not that big of a deal. So I want to kill this off and just get another bird out. Maximize our scaling.
Job's done.
I guess I should have blizzarded before that, but it's not that big of a deal. It's like 100 damage or whatever. Okay, so I need to Archmage Nova first. I have to keep that in mind. And then on these birds, it should be the last one that's the biggest, yeah. So Archmage Nova, then Medivh, then this bird, then the other birds. And I guess we have to keep the counter rune forever. Since Lewis Phillips is gonna always have those 2 speeds to worry about. So we just root, counter yourself when there's no 2 speed, and then shoot with everybody. So much better scaling with all the extra birds in play. I guess this is probably my preferred strategy out of the 2 options. The Deathwing Rattlegore is just... it makes this fight too slow. This is much better scaling with all the birds. So that's going to be countered, and then we're just going to shoot here. I did the order wrong here. And with your Khadgar buffing health on every Archmage Nova, you shouldn't have any problems with like the Whirlwind killing your counter rune or anything. I guess because of the 2-speed attack, and that only being on Lewis, it's probably better to focus Lewis down. And then if he dies before the ad, then you can probably kill off your counter rune and get an extra bird in play to finish the ad faster. But by that point, I don't know, this does a lot of single target damage, so because the birds are so much of your damage, it may be relevant to get that extra bird out in terms of the total time that it takes. I don't think Lewis's health is that much higher than this ad, that this ad would like die to blizzards by the time you kill Lewis if you're focusing Lewis down. I guess an easy way to do your actions without having to look at their abilities is just issue all your actions, and then if the speech bubble says first on the other side, then you don't attack with your counter rune. And then if the speech bubble says first on your side, then you do want to attack with the counter rune. So it's on their side, so I'm going to let them be countered. This is a very long fight, so be careful with that, because you don't want to get like 2/3 of the way through it and then mess up and die to your counter rune mistake. And it would kill you regardless of which turn you messed it up on, so if you don't counter when you should, or you do counter when you shouldn't, then both of those would end up killing you, so definitely unforgiving. I got a digit shaved off here. I guess you could let the whirlwind be countered as well, but I wouldn't worry about that. You could either counter or not on that turn, it doesn't matter. I guess that is the right after I say that it's very unforgiving, it gives you the one circumstance where it wouldn't kill you if you messed up. Okay, and we're gonna let that be countered. Alright, should just be a few more turns here, because we're already doing like 10,000 damage a turn, and this thing only has 60,000 HP left. And then this one will die even faster since we'll be ramped for it. And again, here we have a whirlwind that we can let counter. And letting that be countered. Maybe one or two more turns to get Lewis down. I don't know if we're up to like 15, more than 15,000 yet. It's close. I think it's 2 turns though to kill him. And of course, the rank of your birds is extremely relevant here for how long this takes. Alright, and that should do it for Lewis. Then we just have the ad. So, I could kill this counter rune now and summon a bird by shooting it with a bird and then summoning a bird afterwards, but these guys are ramped so much now, this thing's just going to die anyway. I don't think there's any way that that can go wrong if you do that, but with how much ramp I have, it doesn't really matter. Here, I guess I can do it anyway. So you would just shoot like this bird. And actually, we don't even have to Blizzard this turn. And he died anyway. So just like I was saying, it doesn't matter. You're so ramped at that point that your birds are just going to kill him in a couple turns. If you've gotten them ramped enough that they can actually kill Lewis with his crazy HP, they're just going to kill that ad really quickly, especially if you had like a Atiesh buffed Khadgar blizzarding him the whole time. And I did shoot a few shots into the ad at the start. So 39 turns, pretty slow and grueling. I think that was faster than the other run. I didn't check the number of turns on the Deathwing comp, but that'll do it for 940 day 5, and I guess I'm going to delete these comps because I'm never running that one again. I'm just going to farm on day 2 probably. I think that some people were liking the day 4 farm as well, so that one's an option with those are both Rattlegore farms. There may be some other ones that are decent as well, but I would probably just farm one of those. So that's it for 940 day 5, and good luck on your runs.